Coming up, Tzu Chi Philippines Chapter organized rice distributions on behalf of needy families in Quezon City. We take a look at how Tzu Chi has helped bridge the gap between Ke Tongsan and his son. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Nell. Thank you for joining us. In the Philippines, the local Tzu Chi chapter holds regular rice distributions to address the needs of the poor. Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers organized 2 rice distributions in Quezon City, which helped some 1,400 families.
I had the electricity supply cut at home to save money to pay for my daughter's university entrance exam and to buy textbooks for school.
The light bulb on the ceiling is now just a part of the decor in Araceli Dagdag's home. The 44-year-old woman had the power supply cut at home in order to save money to pay for her daughter's college tuition. Her other children have had to take advantage of daylight to complete their homework. When Dagdag's husband was diagnosed with lung disease and could no longer work, she became the sole breadwinner of her family.
I work as much as I can in order to provide for my family. I start work early in the morning and work until late in the evening. Sometimes I even work through the night. This is the only way I can make enough money to support my family.
There are countless residents like Dagdag who have fallen into poverty and despair in Quezon City. However, they have also found a sense of stability and security through the Tzu Chi Foundation's relief programs. 11-year-old Giancarlo Sala, who is also among the crowd at the rice distribution, took advantage of the opportunity to sell traditional banana snacks to the large crowd at San Jose Elementary School. Having to support his family of 5, the young boy carries the weight of the world on his tiny shoulders.
I sell banana snacks to support my family. I promised my mother that I won't let her live in hardship anymore.
We're very grateful to the Tzu Chi Foundation. This rice will last us at least a month.
Dagdag too received a 20-kilogram bag of rice from Tzu Chi.
Thank you very much, Tzu Chi Foundation, to the volunteers of the organization and all the kind-hearted donors. Thank you for answering our prayers. I hope that one day I can also help other people in need.
Giving is not the privilege of the rich, it is the privilege of the sincere. And these recipients have shown that, despite their own circumstances, they too are capable of performing acts of love. Emily's 81-year-old mother is bedridden due to illness and also suffers from poor vision. Not only does Emily shoulder the burden of caring for her aging mother, she also has to take care of her mentally ill sister on top of her own children.
I do other people's laundry for a living. I work 1 day a week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. My husband also works odd jobs to support us, but it's really not enough.
The Tzu Chi Philippines Chapter hold regular rice distributions in Quezon City to help struggling families like Emily's. Having received a 20-kilogram bag of rice from Tzu Chi, Emily feels that a load has been lifted off her shoulders. As volunteers accompanied Emily home, they discovered that her entire family lives crammed in a tiny 13-square-meter space.
Her son collects recyclables for sale to contribute to the household income. He doesn't go to school because of their situation at home.
Tzu Chi's rice distribution was a saving grace for some 600 residents of Quezon City. To reciprocate this kindness, many residents brought the recyclables that they had collected to Tzu Chi, while others donated to Tzu Chi's coin banks to contribute to the cycle of love.
On August 8th, young volunteers at the Jingzi Books and Cafe across Taiwan will be presenting a musical adaptation. Over the past weekend, nearly 400 young volunteers gathered together for their final rehearsals. Meanwhile, on-stage volunteers of the musical adaptation of the Sutra of Profound Gratitude Towards Parents also seized their weekend to practice for their performance, which will be put on to celebrate Father's Day in Taiwan. On stage, volunteers portrayed the discomfort mothers endure during pregnancy by moving rapidly inside a large piece of see-through fabric. Next, two volunteers portrayed themselves as disobedient sons who look down at their parents and act out violently.
In the past, I was very disobedient and not polite to my mother. The character I portray on stage reminded me of my past, so I just acted out what I was like before. Although my parents don't work as cleaning crew, they made a living by selling ranch hoods. When I was young, I often looked down on them because of their occupation. I regret that.
Lambs kneel down to drink milk. When I was young, my mother had to feed me by carrying me in her arms. Now I know the hardship my mother went through to raise me.
Through these rehearsals, on-stage volunteers at the Sutra of profound gratitude towards parents have the chance to repent for their wrongdoings. Acting out the role of a careless son is Zhongshan Elementary School principal Wang Jianwang, who deeply regretted for not fulfilling his filial duties in time.
I was so into work that I often neglected my parents, wife, and children. When I was on stage acting out the finale of the Sutra, I reflected and repented for my past behavior.
I lost both of my parents at an early age. I think being a part of the musical adaptation gives my children the chance to understand the meaning behind the sutra and encourages them to join Tzu Chi.
Thanks to rehearsal, on-stage volunteers, young and old, will sure put on a performance that will inspire members at the public to repay their parents' grace. Listening to the music and moving in sync with one another are the young volunteers at the Jingsi Books and Cafe. At the Tzu Chi Guandu grounds, young volunteers get together to rehearse for the upcoming musical adaptation. To be a part of the annual event, 8-year-old Mi Xingyu flew from China to Taiwan.
Some young volunteers are from Zhanghua or Tainan. One volunteer is from Shenzhen, China. She hopes to bring the Tzu Chi spirit back home with her.
Among the young volunteers are two sets of identical twins who are both very energetic and playful. One of them even tried their hands at being a reporter.
你练多久了？
不知道。礼拜六或礼拜天练一次。
因为今天要整合所有的孩子，其实
It took us some time in planning to sort everything out. We not only had to gather all the young volunteers together, but also had to separate them according to the part they are playing.
Nearly 400 young volunteers participated in the rehearsal, which took place on August 1st. After 5 months of practice, the young volunteers are now ready to spread goodness to their audience on August 8th. Students of Tzu Chi University and Tzu Chi University of Technology and part of a group they call Society of Tzu Chi Educational Volunteers will be going to Gansu, China as Tzu Chi environmental ambassadors. Ahead of their trip, the group first visited a recycling point in Taoyuan for some hands-on practice.
Ahead of their August trip to Gansu Province, China, students from Tzu Chi University and Tzu Chi College of Technology paid a local recycling center in Taoyuan a visit to learn how to be better ambassadors for the environment.
Bottles, cans, paper, batteries, 1, 3, 5, 7. It's all written here. After thinking about our message, we came up with these props.
As the students look to the elderly recycling volunteers for tips and advice, their teachers like what they see.
These students are really first class. They are polite, humble, and hardworking. They are also determined to learn all there is to know about recycling. It is great to work with them.
Although having yet to set foot in Gansu, these members of the Society of Tzu Chi Educational Volunteers have already taken the first steps in making the world a better, cleaner place.
Currently, Tzu Chi is assisting with reconstruction of 9 schools in Taiwan's Taitung region. Taking advantage of the summer vacation, students of one of the school, Malan Elementary, join teachers and volunteers as they move desks and supplies out of the building slated for demolition. Here at the Malan Elementary School, students, teachers, and Tzu Chi volunteers are taking the day to move desks and cooking supplies out from the building slated for demolition.
The storage space here at the school is limited, so we are going to borrow storage space from Jianhe Elementary. The Tzu Chi brothers and sisters have been kind enough to lend us their vehicles and manpower and help us with this move.
During the move, the volunteers teach children through their actions and, of course, don't forget to introduce recycling tips into the day's activities.
Our teachers, students, volunteers, along with the Tzu Chi volunteers, have come together to clear everything out before this building is demolished. We are very grateful for the help of the volunteers.
Next, the Malan Borhead-led teachers of Malan Elementary and Tzu Chi volunteers on visits to neighbors to ask for their patience over the next year of construction.
We're paying a visit to all those that live near the school. We hope the residents will be accommodating and forgiving and help us in ensuring the construction goes smoothly.
The Tzu Chi volunteers were especially concerned with preventing the dust from the upcoming demolition from affecting the health of the many seniors that live nearby, and thus sat down with the school and other participating institutions to make sure this did not become a problem. In our final look of our series on Taiwan's petrochemical industry since the 2014 Kaohsiung gas explosions, we examined the possible future of the industry.
This is the CPC's Green Technology Research Institute. Inside these culture tanks full of greenish fluid are algae. When dry, they contain 30% oil. We hope to harness the oil in algae as a source of biodiesel.
However, real-world applications of such green energy sources are minimal at best.
We are pursuing the development of green energy, so we will not have to rely on petroleum.
But the research center, just several thousand square feet in size, is only a fraction of the CPC Kaohsiung refinery, which is devoted to churning out petro products through refining.
The refining process of most of our petrochemical refineries is still quite primitive.
After the 2014 Kaohsiung gas explosions, all Taiwanese are asking how the petrochemical industry can be transformed. Back in 1990, when the refinery was built, the government promised nearby residents that it will only be in service for 25 years, after which it would be relocated. Thus, in theory, the 180-hectare refinery plus the 220-hectare administration area are scheduled to close down by the end of this year.
Even if the Kaohsiung refinery is closed, to its east, we still have the Dashi Petrochemical Park, which still has a lot of underground pipes.
The country's petrochemical industry took a hit after last year's accident, but is also coping with the impact of shale gas drilling. Shale gas sits 1,300 meters below the Earth's surface and is mostly methane, which is a fuel substitute for petroleum and natural gas. Though difficult to extract, the US, China, and Europe are all now focusing on shale gas drilling thanks to technological advancements.
Methane can be used to synthesize ethylene and propylene, and the cost is only 1/4 of naphtha cracking.
As Taiwan is without shale gas, we can only import crude oil, but the cost of importing is 2 to 4 times that of using shale gas.
The direction that we are taking, the cost per unit that we are talking about, is not per ton, but per kilogram and even per gram.
70% of petro products produced in Taiwan are exported, while only 30% are used domestically. So, is there really a need for the petrochemical industry to expand?
Will giving up the petrochemical industry affect Taiwan adversely? On the contrary, it will stimulate our import of plastic pellets, which were made from shale gas extracted and synthesized abroad. With a cost less than half of our current costs, we will save a lot.
Scholars believe the government, both central and local, should help current petrochemical plants transform into a low-polluting, high-quality industry.
With our technology lagging far behind the rest of the world, is there really a need to reclaim land from the seed to build a new petrochemical park?
The new proposal includes relocating residents in Dalingpo and land reclamation for the Southern Stars project and the third seaport. Due to controversy, the proposal is still up in the air.
If Taiwan's petrochemical industry can somehow increase its value by, say, shifting to green energy development, then refineries can turn their current predicament into an opportunity to grow.
The advent of the petrochemical industry in Taiwan helped usher in an economic boom in the 70s and 80s, but with growing concern regarding public safety and environmental impact, should the industry retire or take on a whole new direction? No matter which direction the industry takes, it will have an impact on all those living on the island.
A temperamental father who believed in corporal punishment, Ke Tongsan of Keelung, was once feared by his children, especially his eldest who suffer from Tourette syndrome. But thanks to Tzu Chi, the father is now getting along with his children. Ke Tongsan and his son love playing for Tzu Chi's basketball team.
1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8。
Ke's eldest son, Xuanjie, is a member of the team. Suffering from Tourette syndrome, he does not learn as quickly as others, and thus Ke had a difficult time with him when raising him in the traditional way.
In the past, I was very strict with my children. I was quite traditional and practiced corporal punishment. They had their share of punishment.
The father and son were later introduced to Tzu Chi's basketball team and parent and child class. Through listening to Master Zheng Yuan's sermons, things began to change between them.
If I start to lose my temper and raise my voice, my son will quote the Jinsi aphorisms he has learned in Tzu Chi's humanity class. He will say, "Giving vent to anger is temporary insanity. Can we not treat each other like this?"
Children and parents, teachers as well. Now Xuanjie is more confident and happier. Ke has also learned to be more patient and nurturing. Thanks to Tzu Chi, the father and son have found a way to get along and are enjoying each other's company. According to statistics, it is estimated that more than 1 million people in Taiwan suffer from a form of disability. Knowing the hardship parents go through when taking care of disabled children, Tsai Mei-hua and her husband, whose child suffers from multiple disabilities, established a foundation to help others facing similar situations. Recently, the couple was recognized by the Taiwan Mercy Love Association for their selfless spirit.
30年前呢。
32 years ago, my husband and I received the news that a 1-week-old infant who weighs 1,800 grams was in need of a family. We were so happy, so we decided to adopt the baby.
2 months later, Tsai Mei-hua and her husband discovered that their baby had multiple disabilities. They quickly turned to doctors but saw no improvement.
My husband and I were devastated when we first received the news. However, we quickly put our sorrows behind us. We believe this challenge was given to us for a reason, so we decided to accept the reality of it.
Besides taking care of their sick child, Tsai and her husband established a foundation to support other families in similar situations. This year, the couple received the Great Love Award from the Taiwan Mercy Love Association in recognition for their efforts. Among those participating in the award ceremony was Vice President Wu Dunyi.
It is a lot harder to take care of children with disabilities. Some parents may feel exhausted from time to time, but love gives them strength to take better care of their disabled children.
In the years to come, the selfless spirit of these parents will continue to inspire even more to contribute their share to help those in greater need. Following the Bali water park explosion, we have witnessed how Taiwanese have come together in prayer to give burn victims and their family members support, comfort, and consolation. On August 2nd, another blessing ceremony was held at the Jingsi Hall in Hualien, where residents united in prayer wished victims a speedy recovery.
Under the lead of the Jingsi Dharma Masters, Tzu Chi volunteers and residents of Hualien gathered at the Jingsi Hall to pray for victims of the Bali water park explosion. Nurses of Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital were also invited to share their rescue efforts with members of the public.
It takes up to 2 hours just to change a patient's dressing. The quickest is 2 hours. During the first week of the incident, Wang Duorong and I worked from 8 in the morning till 12 midnight changing patients' dressings.
While medical personnel worked around the clock to tend to the victims' injuries, easing the anxiety and helplessness of the victims' families have been the Tzu Chi volunteers. Principal of Guofeng Junior High School shared with attendees these selfless acts of kindness.
Although the Tzu Chi brothers and sisters are not related to my students, however, they came with their love and compassion during a time of need to help my students' families face the trials ahead. No amount of words can express my gratitude.
Students of Guofeng Junior High's Chinese Orchestra also put on a performance, hoping to encourage burn victims through their music. And this support is just what patients need on their road to recovery.
We have to take each stage one step at a time. It doesn't come easy. For burn victims especially, it is a very long journey to recovery.
An accident 10 years ago left Mr. Guo with burns to 70% of his body. Sharing his personal journey to recovery, he hopes to encourage those who are still in the hospital fighting for their lives to face the future with hope and optimism.
To commemorate the one-year anniversary of the Kaohsiung gas explosions, the Victims Association held a Rebirth of Kaohsiung event. Painting documenting the disaster by an artist nicknamed DaAi will also display and will show how time and art can heal wounds. The counter glass broke, so I taped it and started drawing on it. For my drawing, I felt like I was recovering from the trauma.
Like the image in this painting, the Kaohsiung gas explosions left scars in Aihe's heart. However, she was inspired when she looked at her husband's clinic registration counter that had been damaged by the gas blasts.
I know I must outgrow the trauma using my paintbrush. When I draw, I'm very calm.
At the Rebirth of Kaohsiung event held by the Self-Help Association, Aihe shared how drawing has helped heal her mind. Also at the event, a city government official announced that the city government has found many pipelines 30 years or older pose a danger of leaking.
This year, we found many pipelines like this, so we are determined to ask the companies to report on the thickness of the pipeline walls by the end of next year.
The Kaohsiung Environmental Maintenance and Management Autonomy Statute is waiting for the approval of the Executive Yuan, and it will make it mandatory for petrochemical companies to conduct ultrasound checks of their pipelines to avoid future catastrophes.
To help those affected by the Nepalese earthquake, a group of third graders of Chingshui Elementary School and their teachers visited the local Jingsi Hall to donate their filled bamboo coin banks. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.